Someone asks you how your weekend was, and something in you, something small but real, contracts. Not because you're unfriendly, not because you don't like people, but because you already know how this conversation goes. The weekend was fine. Yours was good too. The weather, the plans, the nothing. And then it ends. And you both go back to whatever you were doing. And nothing actually happened. Nobody said anything real. Nobody learned anything true. The words were exchanged, and the silence was filled, and somehow you feel more alone after it than you did before. If this sounds familiar, you're not antisocial, you're not broken, you're not even that unusual. You just have a brain that experiences surface conversation as something between mildly uncomfortable and quietly exhausting. And understanding why changes everything about how you see yourself in social situations. Let's start with what small talk actually is. Not socially, but neurologically. Small talk is a form of social grooming. Anthropologists who study human behavior across cultures have found that surface-level conversation serves the same function in humans that physical grooming serves in other primates. It signals safety, establishes belonging, and maintains the social fabric without requiring genuine vulnerability. Small talk says, "I acknowledge you. I mean you no harm. We are in the same group." It is social infrastructure, not depth. Infrastructure. And here's where it gets genuinely interesting. Because the brain that hates small talk isn't rejecting the infrastructure out of arrogance or shyness. It's rejecting it because the infrastructure isn't what it came to the interaction for. Research on what psychologists call need for cognition, the intrinsic motivation to engage in effortful thinking, shows that people who score high on this trait consistently find low-complexity social interaction less rewarding than people who score lower. The high need for cognition brain isn't just more thoughtful, it is differently rewarded. Surface conversation doesn't activate the same reward centers for them. It doesn't feel like connection. It feels like the waiting room before connection. And the waiting room, when you're not sure connection is actually coming, is genuinely exhausting. But here's the deeper layer, because it isn't only about cognitive preference. For many people who hate small talk, the discomfort has a specific psychological texture that goes beyond boredom. There's something almost claustrophobic about it, the scripted nature of it, the way both parties know the dance and perform it anyway. The feeling that something real could be said is right there, just beneath the surface. And instead, another comment about the weather gets deployed, and then another, and then it ends. And the real thing that could have been said goes back to wherever it lives. Psychologists who study social interaction quality versus quantity have found something consistent. People who report high dissatisfaction with small talk are not people who want less social interaction. They are people who want different social interaction. The research distinguishes between what psychologists call weak tie interactions, casual, low depth, high frequency, and strong tie interactions, meaningful, high depth, lower frequency. The person who hates small talk typically has a strong preference for strong tie interaction quality, not because they don't value connection, but because connection for them only actually feels like connection when it goes somewhere real. They don't want fewer conversations. They want fewer conversations that go nowhere. Now let's talk about what actually happens in the body of someone who hates small talk when they're forced to engage in it, because it's not nothing. Research on social energy expenditure shows that introverts and people with high need for cognition expend measurably more cognitive and emotional resources during low-depth social interaction than during high-depth interaction, which means the conversation about the weather is actually more draining for them than a conversation about something they genuinely care about. The effort of performing engagement they don't feel, of generating responses to questions that don't interest them, of maintaining the social script without deviating from it. This takes real cognitive work that the same brain could be doing effortlessly in a conversation about something that actually matters to them. The person who hates small talk isn't saving their energy by avoiding it. They're spending more of it than anyone realizes. Here's what nobody talks about. People who hate small talk often carry a quiet guilt about it. A sense that their discomfort with surface conversation makes them difficult, pretentious, antisocial. They watch other people move through small talk with apparent ease and wonder why the same thing feels like navigating a maze with no exit. And the guilt compounds the drain, because now they're not just expending energy on the conversation, they're also expending energy on wondering what's wrong with them for finding the conversation so hard. Nothing is wrong with them. Their brain is calibrated differently, and that calibration isn't a social defect, it's a cognitive style. Research on openness to experience consistently shows that people who prefer deep conversation over surface talk score significantly higher in creativity, intellectual curiosity, and emotional complexity. The same brain that finds small talk draining is the same brain that goes somewhere remarkable when given a real question to engage with. The discomfort with the shallow end isn't a failure to swim. It's what happens when a deep-sea creature is asked to spend its time in a paddling pool. Let's be honest about something. Small talk serves a genuine function. This isn't about being above it. The social infrastructure exists for a reason. It oils the wheels of human coexistence, builds trust incrementally, maintains the fabric of daily social life. People who are good at small talk aren't shallower than people who aren't. They're often more socially skilled in the broadest sense. The ability to make easy conversation with anyone is a genuine and valuable human capability. But there are also people whose social genius operates at a different frequency, who can walk into a conversation about something real and create a connection in 10 minutes that most people don't create in 10 years of small talk, who ask the question nobody else thought to ask and open something in the conversation that everyone in the room needed opened, who can sit with someone in genuine silence and make that silence feel more connecting than an hour of surface talk. Those people aren't socially deficient. They are differently gifted, and the gift comes with a cost. The cost is the paddling pool, the office kitchen, the elevator, the social situations specifically designed for surface interaction, which is most of them. And the person who hates small talk has to navigate these spaces with a brain that isn't built for them, performing a social function their nervous system finds genuinely difficult, while appearing entirely normal and wondering why they're so tired afterward. The answer is they've been doing something hard and making it look easy. That deserves more credit than it gets. You are not antisocial. You are not difficult. You are not broken for finding small talk draining. You have a brain that wants to go somewhere real in conversation, that finds the surface unsatisfying, not because you're incapable of engaging with it, but because you know what conversation can be when it goes deeper. And once you know that, the shallow end stops feeling like enough. Find the people who want to go deep. They exist. They are also standing at parties wondering how to escape the conversation about the weather. And when you find each other, when the conversation actually goes somewhere, you'll both feel something that small talk has never once provided. Like you were actually there. Like someone actually saw you. Like the conversation was worth having. Subscribe to Brain Decoded for more psychology that explains the things about yourself that have always seemed strange, but actually make complete sense. And if you hate small talk, send this to someone who gets it. They'll know exactly who they are.